Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, or Dwight Powell? Who is the best center in the game of basketball right now? I'm going to talk about that question, the Mavericks bounce back win against the Rockets, and the week ahead that could determine a lot for the Mavericks.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome to Locked On Mavs. This is one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris, contributor to Mavs.com. And today I'm riding solo to talk about this Rockets win, bounce back win for the Mavs over the Rockets, because do we even acknowledge that Wednesday night happened? I don't want to acknowledge that it happened. So let's just say it was after the Utah game. This is their first game back. But if you didn't listen to yesterday's pod, listen to Nick and Lauren Gunn. Great podcast yesterday. And I'm with you tonight to talk about this Rockets bounce back fun win. It's always good when you beat the Rockets, right? But we got to talk about somebody just right off the top, because around this time, every year around this time, we talk about the resurrection of a person, of a man, right? Like, and this man is, he, like, people know about him all throughout the year, but he doesn't really get the national attention, or people don't talk about him as much until this time of year, whenever it's time for the resurrection. And of course, I'm talking about Dwight Powell. Spring Dwight. Somebody tweeted at me tonight and said Lent Powell, and I chuckled. I thought it was a funny tweet. I don't think a lot of people would really, some people might get it. Some people might, I don't know. But anyway, Spring Dwight, March Dwight, April Dwight, whatever we want to call Dwight Powell. It all culminated to this massive Dwight Powell game, tying a record amount of points for him in this game. Dwight Powell tonight, let me just read this off. 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 of 11 from the field, and a plus 19 in the game. Of course, the Mavericks won this game 113-100. It really was. I mean, that's closer than what the game really was. Dwight had 22 points and 10 rebounds in the first half. He's only scored over 16 points 3 times in his whole career. And I just want to do just a little clap for him. A little clap for him, because in all honesty, if you guys have maybe you're new to Lockdown Mavs, maybe this is your first show ever. We do this thing daily and after every single post game. Normally there's a pod every single weekday of the week, Monday through Friday, and then if there's a game over the weekend, you obviously get a post game pod like this. There's normally 2 of us. The better half is taking tonight off, and you're stuck with me tonight. But so Dwight, it's the relationship from me as a media person with Dwight has been so complicated, because they get Dwight in the trade with Rondo, and he's kind of like the throw-in, right? He's this younger guy from Boston, but everything is about Rondo. It's just, we just see his name attached to the deal. I mean, think about the Porzingis deal, right? Like, there were names attached, to that deal. It's like the Trey Burke of the Porzingis deal. It's like, yeah, we got Porzingis from the Knicks. Oh, okay, yeah, Trey Burke was in that deal too. Dwight was in the Rondo trade, and he comes to the Mavericks, and he starts, he slowly starts to establish his role, his presence within the organization. Obviously, Dirk was here then, and then he gets that extension. And when he got the extension, I was pretty straightforward of wow, does he deserve this extension, right? And even to the point to where some people would label me as the Dwight hater at times, because I'm like, man, I just don't know. And then they try to make him a stretch 5. And it's like, you're not a stretch 5. He's not a good shooter. And then it was it's keeps on going around this circle, because then they changed his role. And then it was the ongoing joke that we made on the pod of yes. Oh, my wife's texting me right now. And then it was the ongoing joke of, hey, they changed his role, so that's why he's playing good, which was the truth. But I kind of like leaned on it of like, hey, it's only because they changed his role. And they basically said, hey, can you just stop? We're not going to make you a stretch five. We just want you to be good at what you do, which is rolling to the rim. And man, is he good at that? Is he good at hustling? Is he good at setting picks? Like he is the type of teammate that every team wants. Last year, and so of course he starts to play, he plays better. He earns his spot on the team. He starts earning his extension money that he made. And then there's that Clippers game, January 2020, and the Clippers game that I actually talked with him about last year. And back last year from Mavs.com, I did this kind of profile feature story on him. It's called How Dwight Powell Bounced Back and Got His Bounce Back. And I just want to talk with him. I wanted to talk with him about his rehab because it was in that January 2020 game against the Clippers that he goes down. He tears his Achilles, and you see the team. You see the look on their faces because Dwight means so much to this team. And he fought and he worked his butt off so hard for a guy who relies so much on his athleticism to come back and to be a part of this team and to play at the level that he was at before. And I just remember I talked with him over the phone. That was obviously 2020, so we couldn't talk in person, but we talked for a while over the phone. And just to hear about his recovery, hear about everything. And I talked to different players on the team. And Brunson had this quote that I put in the story. And Brunson said about Dwight, I said, what does Dwight mean to this team? He says, JB says, more than I can even explain. He does a lot for us from a mentality standpoint. He means more than is shown. That is a fact. And there's very few people that you can go around a team and you can see it in their eyes when they want to talk about him as a teammate. That it's not just a coincidence that when we heard about the leadership council and we heard about Luka and KP and Tim, these guys on the leadership council, that they wanted Dwight to start because they know the work that Dwight puts in, but also they know the effectiveness of Dwight as the rim roller playing with Luka Doncic and what a chemistry these two guys have built. Like, I mean, talking about the gamble of when they traded KP, they also bet on Dwight Powell of being a capable five, a capable starting center for the rest of this way, and to go into the playoffs and say, hey, we're going to embrace this small ball, but we're also embracing the small ball because we believe in Dwight Powell that he can hold his ground. We believe that he can be so efficient as a roller on offense that it will negate the other deficiencies out there. That we think his chemistry with Luka, we think that he is capable enough as a defender that we can play the small ball switchy stuff. And whenever teams want to go small, that he can at least stand his ground defensively. And I just want to say hats off to this guy because it was just January 2020 that he tears his Achilles. And we're like, dang, is he ever going to be able to jump like he did before? Is he going to be like what Dwight Powell was before? And I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and try to analyze, is he 98% of what he was or 82% of what he was before? But I'm pretty confident in saying how like he is close to that because how they started the game tonight, Luka, I mean, is bucket after bucket after bucket. Just, I mean, and even Harp asked Dwight after the game. He was the Bally, player with the headphones and said, what about your chemistry with Luka? You guys have built this so much. And it's going so well. And he's like, man, I've learned so much for Luka. Of course, Dwight, being the teammate that he is, deflects to Luka. He's like, he just makes my life easier. I know where he wants me to catch it. I know where to go. And they just have that chemistry. And what an important part to this team that Dwight is playing. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what happens in the playoffs and all of that. It's just, you don't find too many guys that is so universally liked around the team like Dwight Powell. And it's like, even in that story that I wrote for Mavs.com, I talked to Cuban about it, and him and Cuban and Carlisle, Rick was obviously there at the time I did the story. It was like, he represents who this Powell stands. This is what Rick said. Powell stands for who we want to be as a team and an organization. And it's not just a coincidence that Dwight Powell is rising up the games played, charts for the Mavs of all time. Like, he's going to keep on playing. It's crazy that he's been a Maverick for so long, but I just want to shout out him. This was a career game for him. This is some of the best I mean, guys, we saw a post up from Dwight, Powell. So I just want to say shout out to him. He had a monster game. They brought him back in towards the end of the game. I mean, Şengün is literally having nightmares tonight about this guy. And he deserves the credit. He deserves the praise. The team loves him. Luka Doncic loves him. And I'm happy for him as a dude, even though if this is coming from somebody that I was wrong. Like, I didn't think when they handed him that extension, I was like, Mavericks are going to regret that in a year or so. And that's why I was critical of it then. And I am eating my crow now. I was wrong on Dwight. And I'm so happy that he's succeeding in Dallas right now. Coming up after the break, I want to talk about the rest of this game, a few things about the game, a few things about Luka, but also I think there's a few games coming up that could define what we think the ceiling is for the Dallas Mavericks. This pod is brought to you by betonline.net. It's that time of the year again as college basketball's tournament is finally upon us. From all the latest odds, contests, player props, betonline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball, even though it has a lot of basketball. March Madness Selection Sunday coming up really, really soon. So, guys, we need to get in on betonline.net. It is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Somebody tell Calvin Ridley about betonline.net. It's where the game starts. This pod is also brought to you by Built Bar. I had a Built Bar today. I've had a Built Bar for 3 straight days because I'm trying to get back eating healthier, and it helps me throughout my days. I love Built Bar. You guys know how much, I mean, we've literally talked about Built Bar for literally years. That's not even an exaggeration. Have you tried the puffs, though? I actually have. I have a puff right here in front of me, a Built Bar puff. Have you tried the puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of the Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. Fancy. They're fluffy like marshmallow. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. Guys, these bars, they have so many different flavors. Mint brownie, coconut almond. New for this month is white chocolate cookies and cream. Actually sounds pretty good. It's low calorie, high protein. Replace the candy bars you're eating with these. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 at built.com. All right. Something fell. It scared me. One more thing about Dwight. John Robert Biggs tweeted at me during the game. He said, we need some stats on average face hits per game Powell has, because it has to be over 2 a game. I actually looked this up. Cylinderhoop.org says Dwight Powell averages 2.7 hits to the face per game. So, John, there you go. Over 2 a game. So you are right. You can tweet this out that you are correct. And that source is cylinderhoop.org. A few notes about this game, and then I want to talk about the week ahead. Luka, I mean, first off, early on, I love the Rockets uniform court combo. Hats off to that. They didn't really do it justice because the Rockets suck. But I got kind of a little worried in that first quarter because this is the type of game you have to bounce back. Like the Wednesday game against the Knicks, I joked about it never happened, but it happened. It sucked. We hated it. I hate doing pods after those games. Like those are the worst nights to do whenever you're doing a daily podcast in year 5, 6, whatever year we're in now. It's like I can handle off days. I can handle like weeks with no games because then we can have fun with it and everything. But the pods where they lose to bad teams by like 20 and there's really nothing you can pull from, it's like Nick and I looking at ourselves like, hey, what'd you learn about it? I don't know. What'd you learn about it? What's your takeaway? I don't know. What's your takeaway? It's just, let's close the door on it, move on. You have to win the next game because you can't just erase the Wednesday game if you don't win the next game. And I'm like, hey, they're going to go into Houston looking to lock up that loss tonight so they can get the worst record in the league right now. Which shout out to Garrison Matthews, my guy My guy is down 15. They're literally about to be the worst record team in the league. Dude is throwing an off the backboard oop. I'm like, hey, enjoy life, bro. Like, I'm glad that you are enjoying life, losing another basketball game. But first quarter worried me a little bit, and then they just turned it on. They went on the run there at the end of the first. Second, they started stretching the lead out. And, at the half, man, they were up by a ton. Rebounding advantage at the half. They were up 30-13 rebounds. They were just, Christian Wood obviously didn't play in this game. What would he have done to the Dwight Powell extravaganza tonight? I don't know. Dwight would have probably dunked on his head. But, that at that point, once they got up like 20-25, it was a wrap then. It's like, hey, this is the game. I was just scared. I was just worried, can Dwight get to 30? It's all I cared about. And, but then, they cut it. They cut it there under 20 in the fourth quarter. They had to put the guys back in. Dwight, Luka was just in control of this game. They put Bruno Fernando on him a few times, and it's like, hey, this is, I think Mark Followill said in the game, he's like, that's lunch meat. Yeah, lunch meat, barbecue, whatever you want to say. Luka did not care about Bruno Fernando at all. And Luka finished this game with right at, where is my box score tab? Here we go. Luka finished the game with 30 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. He was 5 of 11 from 3. Some of those threes were like nasty step backs, by the way. 9 of 19 from the field. He's a plus 16 in this game. They weren't losing this game. Brunson didn't play in this game. Dorian Finney-Smith didn't play in this game. I would expect these guys to be back on Sunday, which we'll talk about just a little bit. Dinwiddie, 16 points. Obviously, we already talked about Dwight. Josh Green with the start, baby. Man, Josh was fun tonight. He had 10 points in this game. But yeah, Bertans just came in, just flame throwing. Okay. I don't know what his 3-point percentage is going to be by the end of the year, but I think Nick and I was trying to put odds on if we could have a 40%er from here to the end of the season. Bertans is probably not going to be that. I'm safe to say. He was 1 of 7 from 3 tonight. But Trey Burke, man, like, I know people have their opinions about Trey Burke, but the guy goes from not playing. He has this ability. He won't play for 3 weeks, and then he'll play in a game. And it's like, all right, I guess the dude can just get buckets whenever he wants. And he had 15 points off the bench tonight, 6 of 11, hit a 3 in this game. And it's like, hey, I just want you guys. We're past Valentine's Day. Okay. We're into March. If you forgot Valentine's Day, I'm sorry. If you're looking for a Valentine, here's the bar you need to go for. Just find you somebody who can love you like Harp loves Trey Burke, because my man Harp loves Trey Burke. Anytime Trey plays in a game that I'm listening to the broadcast, Harp goes out of the way every time to just praise Trey and just talk about how underrated he is, how special of a player he is. And I just love that relationship. It's fun. It's almost like you can wait for him. Like, oh, Trey's checking in. Here we go. Where's the Harp line? Bam, there it is. But no, it is really cool. I like both those guys, so I just play around with it and have fun with it. I don't really have a ton of other news. We could go all day about the pick and roll game for Dallas. That's their bread and butter. This is what they're going to do in the playoffs. They're going to have the shooters out there. It's when times are getting hard, when it's crunch time in the fourth, you're going to get the roller out, out next to Luka, high pick and roll, let Luka come off that. And then you have arguably the best decision maker in the game with the ball coming off a pick and roll and Luka Doncic. And you say, all right, make the choice. Like, Luka will either drive in, Luka will hit Dwight for the perfect oop, or Luka will hit a shooter and hopefully the open shot will go down. That's the Mavs bread and butter right there. And when you have a guy as good as he is at rolling to the rim and Dwight and knowing the spots and everything. So, yeah, I literally wrote down, I was like, look up stats on pick and roll stuff, but we all know how good they are with that. I just want to, real quick, towards the end of this pod, it's going to be a shorter pod probably, but this week ahead. All right. So Boston's coming up on Sunday. And if I'm not mistaken, NBA.com, I don't want to get too far in this because then I'm going to get passionate about it and I'm going to get a little frustrated. NBA.com released their MVP ladder. And I guess whoever did that list, I guess they've only watched Boston over the past 2 weeks and said, hey, Jason Tatum, man, he's killed it for 2 weeks. You know what? He should be really high on the MVP ladder. I like Tatum. I like him a lot. I've said that multiple times that I think he's one of the best young players in the league, like him and Luka. Like I would put, yeah, I don't want to sit here and like do this. I would take Tatum over a lot of young guys in the league. Outside of Luka Doncic, Tatum is right up there in front of almost every single player for me. He's probably right up there for. I think I would take him over Ja probably, and I love Ja. But he's not ahead of Luka Doncic in the MVP race. What are we doing? Like what? How like nearsighted can we be? Like, or what? I'm just. It's just dumb. Like I don't want to get into it. It's just dumb. I'm happy for the stretch he's on. But it's like Luka goes on the stretch, in February. Now Tatum goes on the stretch, and Luka's not even considered in the MVP race by some of these people. And then Jason Tatum goes on a similar stretch now, and they're like, "Whoa, is he an MVP?" I'm like, "Okay, well, why did Luka was doing something similar?" So anyway, he's not above Luka. They're out of their minds if whoever has Jason Tatum over Luka right now. So, but I think this stretch of games could be very, very important for us. Boston on Sunday, arguably, probably the hottest team in NBA. Really good defensive team. Like they're playing amazing basketball. Brooklyn on Wednesday. They just beat beat Philly. We all know that, the Harden game. And yeah, they look good. I mean, when they have everybody like Kyrie, Kevin Durant, obviously Kyrie probably won't play in that game. But any team with Kevin Durant is a scary team. And then you have Philly on Friday. It's the first night of a back-to-back with Charlotte on Saturday. It's fighting for playoff seeding and spots and stuff. It's just a tough week. I mean, you have those 3 straight: Boston, Brooklyn, Philly, all on the road, all in their arenas. How are we talking about this team coming out of this week? If they go in, and let's just play the what if. What if they lose all 3 of those games against all 3 of those good teams, and they go into the Charlotte game on the second night of a back-to-back on a 3-game losing streak? How do we feel about this team? Are we like scared? Are we nervous? Are we like, hey, they're not going to be able to get out of the first round? Or are we just writing it off saying, hey, those 3 teams are really good in the East. I think they'll be fine in the West. What if they go and win 2 out of 3, and the third one, they went down to the wire, and you're like, wow, they're just as good as all these teams? Are we coming out this week saying, I think they could be a sneaky finals team? Like, are they going to the finals? I'm so fascinated on how this week plays out. I'm so excited to watch that Sunday game with Tatum, Luka, Jaylen Brown, and Brunson, and Dorian guarding Tatum, and small ball possibilities, Marcus Smart. I'm so excited to watch that game, and really every game next week. But I think it could help determine what we think the ceiling is for the Mavs. And obviously there's a middle ground there. If they like win one and then it's like a close loss to the other, and then they lose, there's a middle ground to where we come out of the week and we're like, oh, yeah, that's who we thought they are. Or can it sway us one way or the other to where we're really worried, or we're coming out of the week saying, hey, where's the parade happening? Okay. I want to book my spot in downtown. So anyway, it's a week ahead. That's Sunday, 2:30. I think it's 2:30 Central Time tip against Boston. And should be a good tip for Slovenia fans. I could be wrong, but if you're in the comments, in the YouTube comments, let us know if you're going to be watching that game against Boston. But guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for being locked on the Mavericks with us. We'll be back after the game on Sunday, Nick and myself. And we'll be excited to cover. Hopefully, we'll be excited to cover that game because hopefully it'll be a big Mavs win. National TV too. So I'm sure all the narratives will be firing off after a Boston. You can imagine if Tatum, goes off and Luka has a dud game on national TV. Never seen that before. And the Mavs lose, and then everybody's like, "Oh, Tatum MVP, no Luka." But it would be nice to see Luka put up like 35 on their head and win. And we're like, hey, so about that MVP ladder. Yeah. So anyway, have a good weekend. Enjoy your Saturday as you listen to this. Enjoy your Sunday. And we'll be back at it for post game on Sunday afternoon. Peace out, guys. Boom.